Yo, what up, everybody? Welcome back to Fandom Frequency. We break down the entire multiverse of pop culture, if you will. Movies, music, anime, anything in between. We cover it here. And if this is your first time joining us, welcome. We talk about all kinds of nerdy stuff and have a lot of fun around here. So if you dig the vibe, if you love what we do around here, click the buttons below the video. And for all you new subscribers and all you new people coming into the community and interacting with the channel. We've been having a lot of fun talking about a lot of different TV shows coming out lately, whether that's House of the Dragon. I got a review for The Acolyte coming out. Yuck. But today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite TV series of all time and one of the funnest, most zaniest shows to come out, I think, ever. The Boys. We're finally going to be talking about the last two episodes of the season here. I'm going to kind of just jumble them and mash them up together because I'm a little limited on time here. But we're going to get into the season finale that was for season 4 of The Boys. And I got to say, overall, I do think this is maybe my least favorite season. But I want to highlight least favorite because I still really enjoyed the hell out of this season, especially the last two episodes. I thought was such a great 1-2 punch of really tying up all these storylines that have been leading up to this moment in this season, because it's been a very politically driven season. Just because of the current climate we're living in. We're in an election year here in the States. So if you're watching this from other parts of the globe, I'm sure you're aware of it. But that's kind of where a lot of this is coming from right now. We are in the middle of selecting our next president. I don't know what number of presidents it is. I really don't care. But we're getting into that. And we're also leading into some of the big major storylines from the comics in a way that they've adapted it for the show, in which Victoria Newman is attempting to become president of the United States. And right now, her, Homelander, and all of them have been formulating a plan with the newer character, Sister Sage, being one of the newest members of the Seven, to try to overthrow the powers that be and get superheroes in all facets of government and everything like that. So that way they can take control and get the people that they don't want out of the White House, out of their way, so they can completely take over, and anyone that doesn't want to cooperate with Homelander or Victoria Newman's plans are going to get thrown into these internment camps. So there's a lot of topical things getting covered in the show right there. But all the plans go awry because nothing has been going according to plan, at least for Homelander's concerned. He kicks Sister Sage out here in the 7th episode and said, "Bitch, get out of here. I'm going to be drinking the milk from Firecracker over here. She got some crazy thing done to her done to her boobs, where she can just provide she just always has breast milk, like she's essentially pregnant or something like that, and it enlarged her breast as well. And it has a weird side effect though, because of the procedure she had done, that it enlarges her heart, and that comes to play here in the last episode quite a bit, because she's sick. She can't even really effectively take out the people on the list of people that Homelander wants them to take care of. So there's no one that has dirt on them, and they can effectively wipe all these people out of Vought so they can get complete control over it, and cover up all the tracks of the corruption and the fucked up shit they've been doing. And y'all know all the fucked up shit that him, the Deep, Ashley, and all these other heroes of the Seven and people at Vought have done, and anyone that can stand in their way is effectively getting eliminated, Terminator style, on a list of specific people that Homelander had Ashley make up. But in this last episode, Firecracker can't even really properly do that. She's sick and coughing everywhere, and she's having these weird heart palpitations, which I think is going to ultimately lead to her having a heart attack, or her heart exploding, or something crazy going on in season 5. I actually thought they were going to address that here in this latest season, but they haven't addressed that yet, and they kind of left those things kind of dangling for the next season, deservedly so. And for those that don't know, they did make an announcement right before they dropped this latest season and had the premiere date, that they actually did announce right before, right when we got confirmed the premiere date of this past season, of this 4th season we just watched, that the 5th and next season will be the final season of the show. So we're in the end game now, Tony Stark. We are there. And yeah, so and when it comes to the boys side of things, now they're trying to, well, in episode 7, that is, Huey and Mother's Milk and everyone are trying to get Frenchie to create this virus just strong enough to take out Victoria Newman if things don't go according to plan, or at least try to weaken Homelander, because if they try to make this thing strong enough to kill Homelander, we did find out that it's effectively going to create a worldwide pandemic and kill off most, if not all, of the superpowered population in the entire country. That's another very topical subject. And Butcher's going back and forth with the voice in his head, which is effectively the entity that's kind of the symbiote that's kind of taking over his body and being the tumor that's been fucking up his brain, but also giving him this crazy ability with these weird ass tentacles and shit that we see coming to a head in episode 8, which we're going to get to in a minute, that tore up the Christian superhero guy to shreds. Literally, his blood and guts spilled all over Firecracker's trailer in episode 4 or episode 5, if I remember correctly. So Butcher's trying to figure out if this is worth it, and he essentially comes to the decision that I can't commit mass genocide in order to take out Homelander, but the voice inside of his head, this tumor, if you will, wants him to do it. That is embodied into the character that Jeffrey Morgan plays from the past that Butcher apparently ended up letting die on a mission. So it's his guilt coming back to haunt him, or at least this entity. This entity is using his guilt and using this person as an avatar to communicate with him and bring out his darkest side. And I love the way they've had this angel and devil on his shoulder between Becca, his ex-wife, being the angel, and of course this character that Jeffrey Dean Morgan's playing being the devil. But now it's strictly just the devil, but he's trying to fight against that. He's now just about on his deathbed in the hospital, trying to also talk to Ryan in the last episode about trying to get him to side with them and the boys in order to take out Homelander. But Ryan, for some reason, has been kind of brainwashed, I guess, by Homelander, even though in episode 7 he didn't want to go forward with telling all those lies on the weird-ass Muppet show they were doing, and told the truth about what happened with Billy Butcher a little bit and what happened to his mom without getting into too much details incriminating Homelander or anything like that. But he pretty much said, like, I can't give you guys this false narrative. I got to tell you the truth. I got to be who I am. So there is still goodness within Ryan being raised by Becca and everything like that. And just having that good moral compass is still within him because he hasn't been corrupted fully by Homelander yet. But I do feel like the fact that he didn't want to go a Butcher and was upset with them wanting to kill Homelander does effectively show that he does have a soft side for Homelander and has been effectively manipulated by Homelander and actually feels real emotions for him, even though Homelander sort of seems like he could really give a fuck less truly about Ryan as a father and is really using him as a conduit to have someone that loves and looks up to him, because we all know that's a crippling thing psychologically that they instilled within Homelander growing up in the fucked up facility that Vought created to raise him and give him this crippling kind of mental kryptonite, if you will, this mental weakness, because there was no physical weakness that they could discover to use against him since he is the offspring of Soulja Boy. I'm not sure if they ever really explicitly stated who his mom is, but maybe that'll come back around later on. Might be more of a Stranger Things 11 type of scenario where the mom's not necessarily a big figure within the world of superheroes or Vought or anything like that, but they used Soulja Boy's DNA, of course, a la Logan style with X-23, aka Laura, with Logan in order to create this clone and not create a clone in this sense, but you know what I'm saying, to create an offspring with the same abilities, but maybe be even stronger and have different things going on. And now, Ryan being the third generation of this fucked up family, is going to be interesting to see where things go and if he truly does fall in line with Homelander, or if they end up having an Invincible-style father versus son fight in the next season. So, at this point, after Ryan kills Grace in this final episode, after she tried to reason with him and lock him in this hospital facility where Butcher's at in order to contain him until they have a chance to try to take out Homelander and everything like that, he shoves her ass way across the room against the freaking brick wall, breaks her neck, and kills her instantaneously. And I was like, God damn, Ryan, you gotta watch what you're doing, bro. You're too strong. You gotta learn to control this shit. So that's another element that I'm hoping they kind of address in the next season with him training or kind of learning how to control his abilities, because if he can't control his abilities, he's not really going to be very effective against Homelander. And even if he works with Homelander against the boys, other than going up against a couple key members like Mother's Milk or Huey, who don't have superpowers, Frenchie, you know what I mean, he won't really be as effective against Kimiko or Annie in that sense, because they all have we're not the same level of strength, but Annie is close to his strength, not quite there, but does have the light abilities and is able to fly around, as we see at the end of the season there, because she was able to escape from them kind of rounding up the boys and everything like that after all the plans go awry. But Kimiko effectively's got that Wolverine healing factor, Deadpool healing factor, so you're not going to be able to really take her out that easily unless you completely disintegrate her entire body. And maybe he can do that with his laser vision, but I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see if what side Ryan chooses and if he really does end up going against or going with the boys. And when it comes to the boys, they're all getting rounded up in the last episode because all the plans that they thought they were going to be able to do all go awry. Butcher shows up after completely embracing the symbiote side of himself and takes out Victoria Newman in an instant and totally rips her fucking body apart, dude. I was so sad because I'm in love and no, not really, but I'm a big fan of Claudia DeMitt and what she's done with this character, and I think she's a good actress overall, but her character's dead. She's out of the picture. And I did not see that coming. So with Victoria Newman off the table, this new guy as president, Homelander working alongside him, and everything going according to Sister Sage's plan, supposedly, or everything took a little bit of a swerve for her plan B. I do think that's a little bit too conveniently written. But overall, love the Sister Sage character. Liked a lot of the stuff that she was doing earlier on in the season where she was just using mental manipulation against certain characters and thinking about the different ways these characters kind of tick and what kind of makes them work the way they do, and using that to mentally manipulate them against each other and to get things moved around on the chessboard, so to speak, in order for her to let the dominoes fall in order to achieve what the ultimate goal was, which I guess is what's going on right now at the end of the season and what she's calling phase 2, which I think is going to be ultimately where the plan goes for the rest of the season in season 5. So really going to be interesting to see where they take those things. But I do think they did write a few too many convenient things going on in this back half of the season for Sister Sage. I just think there's too many variables for her to be able to predict exactly what's going on without having foresight or some kind of way to know the characters like the boys on a more deeper, more intimate level. She hasn't really spent any time around them much. There shouldn't be a ton of information on them besides maybe Mother's Milk or Frenchie or a Butcher, since they work with the CIA and established the boys before Kimiko, Annie, or Huey came into the picture. She doesn't really know Huey or Kimiko that well. I guess she does know Annie a bit because she was in the 7 for a couple seasons, and there's more public knowledge with her being in the pageant circuit, trying to be a superhero throughout her childhood, and her mom kind of grooming her into that lifestyle. There is a lot of aspects and facts that she could use at her disposal in order to take out the boys, or at least take out some of the members. So it will be interesting to see where they take Sister Sage. I do love the character. I like her intelligence is really her main superpower, and that's really what makes the character tick, especially getting to see a character of color get to be that way without being forced or pandering is really nice and refreshing. When it comes to the character of Huey, he's the one that's trying to take a more humane approach, and that's how they end up trying to make a deal with Victoria Newman and her trying to cut a deal with them in order to take Homelander out, because at the end of the day, she fully realizes that he's not good for anybody, no matter what side you're on. He is a terrible thing for the country and the world at stake, and the stakes are higher than ever. So that all goes awry and completely backfires in their face. Huey's over here fucking the Mystique girl, thinking it's Annie. She even proposes to him, and they get engaged, and all this fucked up shit's going on. And let me tell you what, this Mystique type of character, I cannot remember her name. Honestly, I'm going to have to throw that in here somewhere. But she is fucked up and so sinister. But it was such a really great performance from Erin Moriarty as Annie, having to play the actual version that we know and having to play that version. And even her having scenes back and forth with herself, essentially, I thought was so well done and really showed the level of acting chops that Erin Moriarty really has, and really impressed me this season overall. So I definitely want to give her a shout out. But that Mystique type character with the freaking tearing off people's skin to look like other people, and God, it just gives me the heebie-jeebies, man. Such a fucked up character. And she even says that she's like a narcissist or something like that, or a sociopath or something. So she doesn't have any true emotion, and she's definitely one of the worst characters we've seen in the show, bar none. Gnarly stuff going on with that character in the last few episodes, but especially these last two. Really gnarly stuff going on right there. So a lot of really good stuff to talk about. There's a few negatives I do have of the season, though, overall. I do feel like Frenchie's storyline did come to a somewhat satisfying conclusion with him being able to kind of forgive himself and be able to get with Kimiko and embrace that love fully at the end when they have their great little romantic moment in the eighth episode. But I do feel like the character of Frenchie was wasted for 5 to 6 episodes of this season. And they just didn't know what to do with him. And the whole thing with him being so guilt-ridden and everything just didn't play well to me when he's just dating some dude he barely met. and just happened to kill his parents years ago and all this stuff. I'm like, I don't know. It just felt very weird, and it felt like they were trying to reach for something for him when they didn't really have like a natural progression with where the rest of his story was going. So I do feel like he was wasted quite a bit in this season. Kimiko had some really great standout dramatic moments, some really cool badass fight scenes. The whole thing with her having to grow her leg back, Deadpool 1 style, everything like that. I did dig it. I do love what Karen Fukuhara does with this character, and the whole thing with her finally speaking for the first time ever, I think potentially in the show, when Frenchie's taken by the government in the end of the season, was really powerful stuff. And seeing her really voice like no, like oh my, like no, you know what I mean? Like that was so great to get to see Karen Fukuhara have to play that out, and just such a phenomenal performer, man. Like, just great job she did with the character overall. And I think her storyline was a little more interesting throughout the season, but her just kind of pining after Frenchie got a little old after a while. But she does play some really cool pivotal roles in some action scenes and some of the plans and some of the things going on in the season, and the whole thing with her forgiving herself for killing all these kids and things, and this human trafficking thing that there was going on with her as a kid, I thought played a lot better than Frenchie. So I think their relationship overall was interesting and came to a satisfying conclusion. She had a lot of really great standout moments, but Frenchie's stuff just felt really out of place for me. I know some people had some issue with the shock value and some of the political satire of this season. And while I do agree with some of y'all to a certain point, I don't necessarily think the politics on this thing completely hijacked the show and felt completely out of place in the show. It just felt like they were just poking at a certain segment of people out there a little bit too on the nose compared to the seasons in the past, where it was a little bit more balanced and in the middle of in a sense, to where it was kind of making fun of both sides and just kind of making fun of the political kind of social climate that we're kind of in, with like just the whole like corporate corruption that goes on, and the pandering and kind of the fakeness of the entertainment and kind of the political industry as a whole, at least in this country. I thought was done a little bit better in the previous 3 seasons, but some of the commentary, some of the more extreme moments, I thought played well. The Tech Night episode to me was not overstepping in line. It felt in line with the characters that we met, and they were progressing the story forward with the plans and with them trying to figure out what's going on with the internment camps and everything going on with that. So I thought that there was merit to it being in there, but I get that the sex dungeon type of really fucked up edgy stuff is not for everybody. So I do understand and respect that. So if any of you out there watching this were not a fan of that episode or those elements of the show, I do understand. But I do think from Tech Night getting set up in Gen V to just fuck any hole that he sees, and with Ashley being a dominatrix, that being an element of the show with her feeling that power there with her subs, as opposed to her feeling like she ain't shit when she's working with the Seven, because that's the whole power dynamic that happens. And people do that. People bully other people when they're getting fucked over by their parents or people at home, or their significant others. So those things do play out, and I thought that was really interesting element of the show, and I thought Ashley's arc throughout the season was actually pretty interesting. But we know from from the end of this last episode that she's having some weird, like, mutation because of the Gen V she took to try to have some kind of leg up, so that way she wouldn't get killed off with the rest of the people on that list, because literally the Deep was like, well, shouldn't she be on the top of the list because she kind of knows everything about us more than almost anyone else we work with? So that kind of sets her up to kind of be a target now. And I wonder where her allegiances are going to lie with the boys or the Seven or otherwise. Is she going to be a lone wolf? Where are things going to go? Did she mutate into some weird creature a la The Thing, a la Hulk? Or is it something completely different than that? Really going to be interesting to see where that goes. Episode 7, we see A-Train's like, all right, well, I'm fucking out of here because the Seven's going to kill my ass the second they find out I'm the mole or I'm the rat. So I'm fucking out of here. And when Homelander finds out, he's all heartbroken about it. But I feel like if anyone gets their hands on A-Train, his ass is grass. But I do find it interesting they didn't address that in the 8th episode and kind of left that plot point dangling as well. So can't wait to see where all that goes, that's for sure. But yeah, overall, man, I really dug this season. It is my least favorite so far, but I still think it's a damn good season of television. I really enjoy it. And I just love the world of The Boys, and I love these actors and these cast of characters, so I'm always entertained. It's usually well written. They had some stumbling blocks along the way this season, but I think overall it was a very satisfying season. One of the better seasons of TV this year, that is for damn sure. And if Anthony Starr does not get a fucking Emmy for that episode where he goes back to the place where he was fucked over as a child, this goddamn industry makes no fucking sense, man. They got to give this guy his flowers, for sure. Everyone did a phenomenal job in that department. I cannot wait to see where season 5 goes. But let me know what you thought about this latest season. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you fall somewhere in between like myself? What are the improvements you want to see on the show? What are your big predictions for season 5? What were some of your favorite moments from season 4? Who were some of your favorite newest characters? For me, it's definitely going to be Sister Sage is probably my favorite newer character. Web Weaver was completely disgusting and disturbing, but kind of falls in line with some of the darker elements of Spider-Man, so that was pretty cool. A lot of cool stuff with this season. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And yeah, man, so we're going to be continuing the X-Men review series. We got the 2 Wolverine movies, the 2 Wolverine sequels, I should say. The Wolverine and Logan are going to be dropping this weekend. And then we're going to have the Deadpool trilogy, if you will. Deadpool 1, Deadpool 2, and Deadpool and Wolverine. We're going to have full-on retro reviews for the first 2 Deadpools and a spoiler-free discussion for Deadpool next Friday. So make sure you keep your eyes peeled for all that dopeness right there. And yeah, we got some cool stuff coming around the corner as well. Cobra Kai Season 6. Me and my girl Steph have a review that's going to be coming out real soon for a really, really cool horror film as well. And we got some other things planned for the near future. So make sure you stay tuned. Don't sleep on any of the dopeness we got going on here on the channel. I appreciate each and every one of you listeners out there. Watchers, I should say. Take care of your loved ones. Stay safe out there. And until next time, much love. Peace.